Hello, all of my crafty friends. Welcome back to my channel, Pretty Pink Craft Room. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been quite some time since I have posted a video, and I apologize for that. I have been on vacation, and then I came back and got very sick. So you may hear a little bit of the nasally sound in my voice. I apologize for that, but I wanted to come on today to share with you another crafty project that I just created. I saw something like this on Pinterest, but it did not provide a tutorial or any measurements. So I had to sit down and figure out the measurements for myself. And once I did, I wanted to share that with you today. So what this is I am calling it a wallet travel journal. That's what I'm going to name it as. You can, of course, decide what you want to call it as we get in. You might figure out other ideas or uses for it. But I thought it would be really cool to document travels that you may be going on, especially since I just came back from vacation. That was what my mind was geared towards, but of course it can just be used for any type of journal. So let me get inside and show you what it actually looks like. So again, it's a wallet kind of design to it, and it just has as a closure this baker's twine string that I have that matched the color sequence. And when you open it this way, and then at the bottom you have these two flaps that you can open up this way. So right away you can see that you have these two pockets here. I put a tag and a journal card there. Both of these, or all of these implements have the back of them are completely blank, so you can use that for journaling if you so desire. Then at the bottom here, then this flap comes down, and so then you see there's more pockets here. There's two tags here, and these are just some file folder shaped pieces that again are blank on the back for more journaling. There's three down here at the bottom. And then here is another envelope to, keep your keepsakes, your receipts from your travels, whatever you like. You can open this up. And then there is another pocket here with more journaling spots there as well. So just a really cool idea to document some of your travels if you so desire. And I wanted to share with you all today how to make that. So if this is something you're interested in, maybe you will choose to stick around with me and we will make one together. So I have brought out my scoreboard so that we can go step by step in creating this design. Again today, instead of using the craft color base, I am going to use a white base. The paper that I'm thinking of using today goes better with a white base, so I'm going to go ahead and use that on the project today. And I did do some pre-cutting and pre-scoring, but I will leave the measurements in the description box, and I will try to repeat them and go so that in case you want to just follow along with the video, you can choose to do that as well. So I'll put that to the side. So the first thing that we're going to do together is the base. So the base of the project, if I didn't mention that, I apologize. The base of the project measures 7 by 5. So it's 7 inches by 5 inches. And of course, as you all know, all the time you can choose to alternate those or change those measurements depending on what you're trying to create. If you want to make it bigger, if you want to make it smaller, you can choose to do that based on what your preference is. So I'm going to stick with the same measurements, overall measurements of the 5 or the 7 by 5 in the landscape direction. So for the base part, now this is the base as well as the top flap of the project. It is a piece, I'm taking a piece of paper that measures 8 1/8 by 7. 8 1/8 by 7. And excuse me, my allergies are also acting up right now, so it's not only just a cold and a sickness, it's also allergies, so I apologize If it gets too much, I may pause the video and come back so that you guys don't have to hear me through the video like that. So 8 1/8, as I mentioned, by 7, and I'm going to score this in 2 places. I'm scoring it at 2 5/8 and 3 1/8. 2 5/8 and 3 1/8. That is going to give me a 1/2 inch gusset here. That will give me space for expanding on my project. And now I'm just going to be folding those score lines that I pre-scored. And let me get my bone folder to crease them down. One moment. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, this is just the back part of your wallet journal, and then this is the top flap of it. So what I did for mine, and I'm going to do that again, is I just rounded the corners as I go. As I create different parts of it, I'm going to continue to just round these corners. Okay. Okay, so the next step after creating this base part is we're going to create the 2 sides that flap over. So in order to do that, I need 2 sheets of paper, 2 sheets of the white base, and they measure 4 3/8 by 5. So again, I have already cut those. They are 2 pieces that measure 4 3/8 by 5. So on each one of them, you want to score at a 1/2 inch and then 7/8 of an inch. So a 1/2 inch and 7/8 of an inch. This will give you a 3/8 inch gusset, again, to expand your size or to make room for what you're going to stock in there. So these are the 2 pieces, and I scored them the same way. I've just flipped it over so that it can go on either side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to miter these edges just so that they are not visible when I glue them down. Then I will I will crease these score lines. I will burnish them down to make them crisp edges, and then we will glue them into the project. So I folded and creased my edges and glued one side in, and then this is the second side that we will do together. So I'm only applying glue to the 1/2 inch flap here because that's the part that I want to adhere to the base, and the other part is my gusset. So if you fold it back and just have your 1/2 inch portion folded down, if you can see that, then line it up with your edge of your base, and then it'll make it easier for you to make sure everything is even. So I lined it up with my base there and just adjusted it till it was in the proper place. And now it's even, it's flush with the edge there. And then once you make it perpendicular to the base, then now your flaps are like so. So now you have your top, you have your flaps, and then now we're going to work on the bottom portion. So I'm going to open this back up, and the bottom flap that I have at the bottom, of course, of the project is a piece of paper that is measured at 4 7/8 by 7. 4 7/8 by 7. And on the 4 7/8 side, you put it in your scoreboard, and you're scoring only at a 1/2 inch and 7/8 of an inch. A 1/2 inch and 7/8 of an inch, again, because you want to give yourself that 3/8 of an inch of a gusset. For the space of expanding your project and for whatever you're going to be putting inside your project to make sure there's space for that. So I'm just going to fold these creases down, burnish them down, crease them, and then I want to miter my edges and then glue this down to the base, the bottom portion of my base. Okay. So I'll bring the base back in. So basically you're just adding it to the bottom here, and you're doing the same thing. You're only applying glue to this 1/2 inch flap, leaving the gusset alone. And then if you fold it back and just line it up to the bottom, of your project, then it should line up easily for you. So I'll apply glue and add that to the bottom. I'm going to turn it to the side because I can see better when I do that. So, okay. I believe this should be lined up right. Okay, perfect. Okay. I'm going to give that glue a little bit more pressure so it can adhere down. And I won't have to worry about it. Okay, so now you can see that it's pretty much coming together. It's a very simple, very easy project to follow along with. There's just, I mean, there's pieces added to it and everything, but it really is very simple to do for yourself. So at the bottom here, I applied a pocket at the bottom. And that pocket is a piece of paper that measures 2.5 by 8 inches. 2.5 by 8 inches. And as you do with every pocket, you're going to score on 3 of the sides, and you're scoring at 1/2 inch on 3 of the sides. So because I want to actually use this project, I do need to add some actual cardstock paper to this before I lay this down. So I'm going to find some cardstock that I can use before adhering this pocket on top of it. So I will pause the video and then come back with some cardstock that I can use. I found some paper to add to this bottom flap here and glued that down. Again, just rounded the edges at the bottom. That's completely optional. And this is the pocket that we spoke about previously. Again, that pocket was measured at 2.5 by 8. Then we scored 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Then I just folded those, mitered the edges, folded it in, and rounded the corners. And then I have this piece of paper that I'm going to add to it and put it down on the base here. So I'll add the glue here. And by the way, in case you're interested, so that I do not forget to say, this is graphic 45 paper, Sunshine on My Mind, 1 in a Melon. In case you see this and it's something that you'd like to get for maybe a summer project. Just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Sometimes I forget to mention it and I don't want to do that. So, okay. So this is the base here. Oh, this is so not straight. Oh my goodness. Let's see if we can reapply this in a proper way so that it is actually straight. My goodness. Okay. All right. I think that's as straight as I'm going to actually be able to get it. Okay. So I've added the base paper here. Now, one thing I didn't do in the last project, and I try to remember to do it, but sometimes it just escapes me and I just keep moving and I forget until the project is finished. When you're adding your pocket, sometimes you may notice that pulling things in and out of the pocket, it can be a bit difficult because of this flap here that wants to stop you from pushing things in. So I've seen many other creators, many other crafters do this same process. It's pretty fairly common, but again, for me, sometimes I just absolutely forget to do it. And by the time I want to remember to do it, I have already glued down these pockets and there isn't a way for me to go back and do it. So I have to accept what has been done. So the only thing I've done is I've glued down this bottom flap, the bottom portion, and I'm just going to apply a piece of Scotch tape. Of course, you know, it won't be seen at all, but it will help to make that flap more flush and flat and prevent whatever you're sliding in and out of it from stopping on the flaps. So now I can glue down the sides here and add them on. Okay. And that is my bottom base now. Now I can move on to adding more pieces to it. So the next portion we're going to do is we're going to add the inside envelope that goes here as well. And another thing that I did here with this particular project that I didn't do with the one that I showed you, the prototype that I did, is I'm going to add a bit of a gusset to this envelope so that, again, I just have a little bit more space for whatever I want to add inside. I don't want it to be too bulky that things can't close, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. So for the envelope that goes on the base portion, you need 3 pieces. I'm sorry, excuse me, 2 pieces. One for the top, one for the bottom. And the top one measures 3.5 by 7, 3.5 by 7, and then you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. That's what I originally did in the original project. But again, I want to try it with having just a little 1/4 inch gusset just to give myself a little bit more space. So I did a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. So again, I have a 1/4 inch gusset here. So now I can fold these lines down and burnish them. Okay. Okay. And then, as usual, I wanted to go ahead and miter these edges so that they're not seen. And then I also want to round my corners. So now this will go up at the top here, and it will create the top portion of your envelope. And then now I have a bottom portion that I also want to fold. So the bottom portion is a piece of paper that measures 3 by 7. So again, 3 by 7, and then on the 3-inch side, you're scoring at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. You don't have to do the second score line if you're not looking for a gusset, if you wanted to lay flat, but I wanted a little bit of gusset. So again, I scored at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch, and I'm going to do the same exact process of folding, burnishing, mitering, and rounding. That was a mouthful. Okay. Let's see if we can get this all creased down. In the same process of mitering my edges and rounding the corners. Perfect. Okay, so I'll bring the project back in, and so now you're just adding this to the top and the bottom, and again the same exact process of just applying glue to the 1/2 inch flap. Leave the gusset alone, fold it flat down, add that glue to the 1/2 inch, and then line it up in your project right below that score line, not trying to interfere with that score line, not trying to touch it, so that everything continues to fold properly. You could go just a little bit, just a hair's breadth away from it at the top, and the same thing at the bottom, like so. Okay, so let me go ahead and glue that down, and then we'll move on to our next section. All I have done is I've gone ahead and glued down these 2 flaps to create this envelope in the inside of the project. So I just added the one to the top, the one to the bottom, and as you can see, there is a 1/4 inch gusset there to give a little bit more space on the inside. Okay, so now I'm going to open up these 2 flaps that are my envelope. I'm going to open them up, and I'm going to work on the base here. So for the base here, I want a large pocket and then 2 side-by-side pockets. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and apply the design paper that I want to add to the base of it. So I just cut me another piece of the paper that I want to go to the back, and I'm just going to add this onto the base here. Again, trying to stay away from those score lines. I don't want anything to interfere with those score lines on the project, otherwise things won't fold and it'll create a weird look there. And may not be useful for what you want it to do. So I'm just gonna apply this inside of those score lines. Make sure everything is lined up properly. Okay, so that is our base piece here. So now I can go ahead and add the pockets that I want to have on here. So I have a large pocket that I want to add. The large pocket that I'm going to use is the pocket size is 3.5. I'm just looking for the paper that I had already cut down for it. Couldn't locate it. There's so much going on my desk. So it is measured at 3.5 by 8, and same thing, same process, scored at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Now I'm going to miter the edges and then glue it down. So same process you guys have seen so many different times before. So now this large pocket will go here, and then on top of this large pocket I have 2 smaller pockets, and those 2 smaller pockets, they measure 4.5 by 2.5, 4.5 by 2.5, and I scored again 1/2 inch on 3 sides there. And I'll go ahead and cut these edges. And I just want to show you guys this because I'll have to find more paper to add to the larger pocket before I can glue the smaller pockets on top of it. Okay. All right, so you can see that all I've done is cut those edges off at an angle. I'm going to go ahead and fold one of them so that you can at least see what I'm speaking of. So the idea is that this large pocket will rest here, and then I will add the smaller pocket, one on this side, and then one will go on this side. So I am going to have to take a pause break and find some paper to go here, and then I'll be back so that we can add more, or I can adhere all of this down so you can see that process as well. One moment. I found this paper that I wanted to use on the pocket, and I went ahead and glued it down to the pocket here. And I'm just going to follow the same step as I did before. I'm going to only apply glue to this bottom flap, or this bottom panel edge here, and then apply some tape. Glue this down. Again, staying away from those crease lines, those score lines, so that everything kind of folds properly. So I'll add that down, and then I'll open it back up, and I'm going to apply some tape here. Okay. And then apply this on here like so. Oh, that was a bit too long here. Okay, let's cut that off, because I don't want that there. Okay, let's see what we can do to get that off. Made the tape a little bit too long, and it's going into an area I do not want it to be in. So I'm just pulling it up and cutting off some of the excess there. Hopefully that should be good. Let's see, maybe I need to cut a little bit more off. Okay, let's see. All right, I think I'm pretty good there. Okay. So now I can take and apply glue to the side flaps here. And then adhere that down to the base and give that some time to apply fully. Okay, so now I have a pocket here, a big pocket. And as we did before, as I showed you previously, I do also make 2 smaller pockets to go on top of the big pocket. So we'll now add those to it. So just getting that excess tape off my fingers. Okay, so this was our 2 smaller pockets that we previously talked about. I've already just folded them down, and I'm going to apply them to the base here, and they'll be side by side. But before I do that, let me just crease these down a little bit more. They feel like they're not creased as much as they should be. Too bulky. That's a bit better. Let me do the other one. Okay. So I did cut 2 pieces of the paper design to go on top. There's a hint of writing here, and I'm just trying to make sure I don't put the paper down upside down. You guys know you've seen me do that before too. I just sometimes end up making things go upside down, so I'm trying to avoid that and not have to pull this paper up. Okay, so I'm going to apply that as my cover piece to one pocket. And that will go here, and then I'll apply this piece to the other pocket. And apply that down. Like so. And then that will go on the edge like this. So they will be side by side at the bottom, and you'll have a pocket here, and then a double pocket down at the bottom there too. So let me go ahead and add these on, and again I'm going to do the same process where I just add the glue to the bottom, line it up, then open the flap down, apply some tape, not too much tape so that it doesn't go where I don't want it to be, but there's that tape there, and then I'm able to apply glue here and here, and then it should crease down. Okay, and then we will do the same thing with this pocket here, and they should go side by side like so. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that here. Give that a little time to come to. Then add some tape. And then glue down these 2 sides here. Feels like glue is just getting all over my hands and everywhere. I'm trying to prevent you guys from having to see all that, but it is literally just everywhere. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so now the only thing that's really left to do is to do the decoration. I am going to go ahead and, just so that I don't forget and get carried away, I'll go ahead and corner these edges too. And then corner this one on the side as well. Okay, so what you've seen so far is you've seen me do the bottom portion, then this becomes an envelope, and then this folds up. I was trying to remember the order. And then this folds over, and then this is your top flap, and that is your full wallet journal all there together. So I'm going to go and find some paper to cover all this up, and then I will be back to show you the finished project. Stay tuned. And this is our final decorated project. So as you can see, I have kept a similar design with the closure with the baker's twine that you can get from Dollar Tree. I did cover it with the paper from, again, that paper pack is Graphic 45 if you're interested in getting that for yourself as well. And then I added some ribbon down here at the bottom, similar to what I did in the previous project. So I'll open it up. And again, this is just wrapped around, nothing special to it. If you want to add jewelry or beads to the baker's twine, you can certainly do that as an option too. But I just wrapped it around, and the top portion says, "Summer is my season, life is sweet, happiness is cold watermelon." So that's what it says up the top. And then when you open it, it says, "Sunshine on my mind" here. Then in the bottom, we have the two doors here. And then when they open up, this is how it looks on the inside. More of that paper, of course. Here, I just added a belly band. This was just a leftover strip of paper, and I just wanted to use it in some way, so I just made it into a belly band, just added glue to the edges and stuck it down. And then inside, I just added two tags with some ribbon on there. Again, more writing or photo mats, however you would like to use it. And then when you flip it down, then there is a pocket down here at the bottom, and inside the pocket I just added some cut-aparts that comes with the paper pack. And then I added some larger pieces that could be used either for journaling, or it can be used as a photo mat too. So either way, these can be used. And let me get them back in here. And then this goes, and then this goes. So yes, those can be used like that. And then in the middle, of course, is the envelope that we worked on. And so when you open it, just again using the baker's twine, and then inside there's three pockets. There's two here and then one at the back. I just added some of the journaling cards that came with the paper pack into the smaller envelopes. I'm sorry, I keep saying envelopes, the smaller pockets. And then in the larger one, I added more of the journaling areas that can be used. And then this is just a larger piece of paper here that can be used as a photo mat or for journaling. So whichever one you prefer. So yes, that is the completed project. And so to close it up, then of course you just do the same thing. You just close up that envelope, pull up the bottom, close the two doors, and then lower the top flap. This is how it looks on the back. And then on the edges, I just added leftover strips of paper that were there. I just covered those up. And then I just wrapped the baker's twine around in whatever way you would like to. And then that closes up the project, the journal. And this is the original one that we did, or that I did previously, the prototype, and then this is the new one. So thank you all so much for joining me on my channel today. I hope this is a project that you're interested in, that you may even consider doing for yourself. It's a great gift to give to someone as well. You can put your thoughts or some sentiments inside, some ephemera inside. You can put lots of different things inside that you can give to someone too. So maybe you'll consider giving it away as a gift also. Once again, if you are new to my channel, I hope that you will consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. I hope that all of you may join me soon when I come back for another crafty video. Thank you again for joining me today. And to everyone out there, I hope you have a wonderful and beautiful day. Talk to you soon. Bye.